Chapter 269 Blood Red. Could it be it wishes to eliminate us in one stroke? Zhongwu asked with a white complexion. Humph. Xuan Yui didn't speak and raised his hand instead. 7 to 8 fireballs flew from his hand, shooting toward the dense spiderweb. Peng peng. The spiderweb was left completely intact. Not even the slightest sign of a burn could be seen. At this moment, the others weren't surprised. They had clearly anticipated that this spiderweb wasn't so fragile. During this moment, the white spider slightly bent its legs, and with ferocious power, it pounced straight toward Xuan Yue's direction with its entire body. Xuan Yue's expression darkened. He pressed a yellow talisman against the ground, and immediately after, it noiselessly dissolved into floor. Subsequently, a huge stone spike sharply rose not far away, precisely hitting the abdomen of the spider as it leaped in midair. The spider was rigidly pinned to the roof of the cavern, incapable of moving for the time being. Good. When Lu Tianming saw this, he loudly shouted and revealed an expression of happiness. Then, he threw out a dark green bag with the bag's opening pointed at the spider at the ceiling, revealing faint warm light. At this moment, the spider trapped at the cavern ceiling started hissing. It drew its legs towards its abdomen and held the stone spike tightly. Then it fiercely exerted force. The sounds of crashing stones were heard. The tip of the stone spike had actually been easily crushed into countless falling stones. After recovering its freedom, the demonic beast jumped down. When it had broken the stone spike's tip, its small eyes flickered with green light as if it were angered. It lowered its body and then straightened it. It seemed to want to pounce toward the cultivators once again. But at this moment, the warm light rushed out from the bag and precisely swept away the spider as it was midair. Then as quick as lightning, the light returned, with it the spider that had unexpectedly shrunk as it was collected into the bag. Han Li and the others at the side were startled. Such a seemingly ferocious spider had actually been so easily captured alive. This was truly hard to imagine. Lu Tianming also wore an expression of pleasant surprise. Although the might of his sun and moon pouch was quite considerable, it had already been used many times to collect a large number of demonic beasts. Even so, it was still able to smoothly capture this spider, which caused him to be greatly surprised. Feelings of ecstasy then began to rise in his heart. If he could tame such a demonic beast, wouldn't his power increase by several times? With this thought, although Lu Tianming had regained his calm, his happiness was displayed on his brow. He impatiently waved at the green bag, and it slowly flew back under everyone's gazes. The other cultivators naturally knew what such a live demonic beast meant to a member of Spirit Beast Mountain. They couldn't help but display an expression of envy. However, just as this expression was revealed, the flying bag suddenly stopped in midair and moved no more. Lu Tianming grew frightened and hastily attempted to retrieve his bag by forcefully using more magic power. However, after the bag swayed several more times, it still stopped in midair. Everyone watching from the side knew something was amiss. They hastily went on guard. The surface of the leather bag suddenly became bumpy. It seemed that demonic beast was causing these oddities from within the bag. These strange occurrences continued for a short moment before disappearing. But soon after, it suddenly began to swell and with a loud bang as the bag exploded into pieces. The white spider had actually forcibly destroyed the magic tool and restored its original size. After once again escaping constraint, the demonic beast clearly entered a craze. Its translucent pure white body gradually turned red and began to shoot off fearful blood-red rays of light. It began grinding its mouth full of sharp teeth, releasing fearful crackling noises. When Lu Tianming and the others saw this, they all solemnly drew back several steps, planning to use explosions from magic tools to increase the distance between them. However, the blood-red spider cut forward with its many legs and charged toward the two cultivators furthest away as fast as lightning. After seeing only 2 streaks of white light flash by and hearing poo-poo, the two cultivators' defensive barriers had been destroyed in a single strike, their bodies severed in two, meeting a violent end. Among these two was unexpectedly that ugly man Zhang Wu. Unfortunately, he had believed he was safer as he was farther away. After seeing the two cultivators' deaths along with the spider's lightning-fast movements, the others that had scattered the farthest turned pale with fright and feared they would follow the pair's footsteps. However, they were too late. The demonic beast's body had already flashed and turned into a streak of blood-red light, shooting toward the saber transformation cultivator. This cultivator's face became deathly pale. He grit his teeth, shooting two black throwing knives at the approaching spider. However, the spider opened its mouth, and shining white liquid shot out toward the throwing knives, causing the throwing knives to lose their magic power and fall to the floor. Then it leaped up with its huge body and bit off the head of the saber transformation cultivator. The headless corpse spouted out blood like a fountain, causing those who saw it to become aghast. The others, Han Li included, no longer hesitated and immediately sent talismans and magic tools to smash its head. However, even since the spider's body turned blood red, it became as fast as the wind. Within this narrow cavern, the magic tools and magic techniques simply couldn't follow its nimble movements. A short moment later, another two cultivators met their violent end underneath its fierce teeth. Although one of them had timely used a colored scarf to obstruct its advance, in the blink of an eye, the spider shredded through the scarf and killed him. This spider's legs and fierce teeth were truly sharp. Their hardness was absolutely that of a top-grade magic tool or higher. At this moment, only Lu Tianming, Xuan Yue, and Han Li had remained. The trio's complexion had become ashen with extreme fear and anger. If they were in an open area, then these cultivators wouldn't have died so easily. After all, with flying magic tools, they definitely would have lasted longer. Bang! The spider flashed to the side of Lu Tianming. As it attempted to cleave his body in two through his protective barrier, a black object appeared to obstruct it. This flat and round object appeared to be a small shield, but under careful observation, its surface seemed to have cracks. It was actually a miraculously strange turtle shell. Apart from a shallow mark that remained from the strike, it was completely intact. It was truly astonishing. Seeing it had no effect, the huge spider immediately gave up on Lu Tianming and flashed with red light, arriving at Han Li's side with its jaws open. However, Han Li's cold expression shook several times. His body suddenly became vague and immediately disappeared. He then appeared over 20 meters away. This caused the demonic beast to unexpectedly stay still from surprise. During this delay, Xuan Yue took out a small yellow cup and arrived next to the spider. After the small cup flashed with yellow light and expanded, Xuan Yue slapped it underneath, trapping it once again. Afterwards, Han Li expanded his black dragon's grasp to its greatest size and cautiously hovered over the cup, fearing another escape from the demonic beast. You too, be at ease. My heaven-shrouding cup was refined from copper essence, a material used to refine magic treasures. It absolutely wouldn't be able to escape. After Xuan Yue's expression relaxed, he explained this to Han Li and Lu Tianming. Hearing this, Han Li's expression relaxed, and he retrieved his black dragon's grasp. It seemed he was truly at ease. However, Lu Tianming walked to the front of the copper cup and took a few looks at it before muttering to himself and shaking his head with worry, saying, "This won't do. I feel unassured. Continue using your cup to trap the beast and give me time to prepare a magic treasure and thoroughly kill this monster." When Xuan Yue heard this, he wrinkled his brow, but he didn't say anything and followed along. Han Li then looked at the transportation formation and the skeleton's command medallion. After a moment of thought, he walked to the side and sat cross-legged in meditation, leaving the previous matter up to the other two. At this moment, Lu Tianming took out a treasure talisman flashing with azure light. He pressed it between his palms and slowly filled it with spiritual power. It was obvious that a late foundation establishment could use a treasure talisman quickly without having to charge it with power. A short moment later, he separated his hands, and an exquisite small rod shot forth and revolved around his head. "Are you ready?" I'm going to release the demonic beast. When Xuan Yue saw this, he asked this with concern as he controlled the small cup. I'm ready. You both can die at ease. That greater displacement medallion is mine. Lu Tianming widely opened his eyes, suddenly revealing a sinister appearance. After this large shout, the tip of the short rod released innumerable rays of light. In a flash, one rod became two, two became four, and four became eight. In the blink of an eye, over several hundred similar small rods had appeared. Each of the small rods released a small, buzzing rumble. Then, under Lu Tianming's control, the majority of the rods charged toward Xuan Yue in a dense formation, while a small portion went toward Han Li as he was meditating cross-legged. When Han Li saw this, his expression slightly changed. He didn't dare to clench the item in his hand and rigidly stared at the approaching talisman treasures. Xuan Yue's expression was dull, as if he were turning a blind eye to this crisis. Seeing the pair's expression, Lu Tianming's proud expression froze. As he shouted, "Not good." In his mind, he thought to take out the tortoise shell. However, behind him, the sound of the ground rupturing came from behind him. Then, a streak of red light struck at his side. Suddenly, Lu Tianming's body fell to the ground in two pieces. Right after, the red light leaped back a certain distance away and stopped. It was unexpected, the blood-red spider that had escaped its trap at an unknown time.